Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today and coming to my channel and checking out my content and what I'm getting up to. Today, continuing on from the last video series that I did, which was a two-parter on shadow work and my thoughts on it and defining it. I thought it would just be kind of natural that I would just take on something really heavy and, go where no one else wants to go. Let's go there. That's me. So anyway, house cleaning, house rules. This is my opinion. This is my process. It's my story that I'm sharing with you. It's my heart, if you will. And just, telling the truth, telling you how I got to these conclusions, and, you'll learn a little bit about me. And I'm always interested in connecting to you. So you are welcome to connect with me if you so see fit. With the connection to me, I prefer email, to be honest. Probably the best way would be email, or you can send me in a DM on Instagram. I do now respond. But that being said, I will say, if you're going to reach out to me or ask for me to talk about a topic, or, just kind of ping pong chat, I don't do ping pong chat. I'm not interested in how are you today? I'm good. What are you up to? I'm oh my God. Bye. Yeah, I'm out the door. Forget it. So it has to be meaningful dialogue. Because I'm busy, I'm working, and even these videos, they take up a lot of my time and energy, So I do appreciate that you appreciate me. So please, if you're going to send it in, keep it short, keep it sharp, keep it real, and watch those commas and full stops, because a lot of the messages I'm getting are just absolutely insane. So send me a message through via DM, and I will put it into what I consider to what I'm calling now a consideration folder. So it's if I consider to reply to it, you have to understand, there's only so much of me to go around. And, a lot of these things that, you're trying to connect to me about are very heavy and labor intensive topics. And I don't understand all of the nuances in your life. I don't understand the stories and the history of your problems. So I have to kind of give blanket statements. But I am considering coming back and doing some spiritual counseling and doing some readings at some point. So that being said, not open at the moment, but I'm open to it. So I hope that you guys are all having a great week, and I think we're just going to kind of jump into today's topic, because I like to go into some kind of excavation of truth. And also bear in mind, I am of the left-hand path, so you're going to get a perspective from more of a brutally honest point of view. So that being said, I'm all about love and healing and protection and building people up. But to a certain point, you are going to get absolutely no empathy and no compassion from me when your problems are completely of your own doing. Okay, so don't come crying to me if I gave you counsel and you didn't listen, or if you keep making the same mistake. At some point, it's like a baby learning to, we're all we go through these stages. It's like a baby learning to walk. You keep putting your hands out in front of you, and you'll keep face planting and face planting and face planting until you get it, until you finally get it. And that being said, I'm all about self-accountability. I'm all about ownership of self, the good parts and the bad parts, not the light and fluffy, feel good shit, So anyway, if you're already watching these videos, I think you're kind of getting my vibe. And I'm absolutely, completely unapologetic about that, because this is who I am. So moving on to today's topic, it is narcissism. And, I've been thinking about so many ways to attack this. So I do apologize if this video is a little bit jumpy, because there is just so many rabbit holes I could go down, and those rabbit holes go down more rabbit holes. And it's just, oh my God, it goes on and on and on. So I'm just going to try and keep it really dot point based and try and keep it like to the point and give you some examples of what it is to me, and how do we move forward? Because as a collective shadow at the moment, narcissism is it is fucking out there. And if you can't see that, then I'm kind of going to look at you and go, where the fuck have you been hiding? So I think it's something that really is a pattern of behavior that's becoming more and more common, and it's becoming more and more predictable, and it's kind of like everywhere I look. And it seems that relationship dynamics have become or are very, very transactional. And we see these people that just have no capacity for any form of empathy whatsoever. And, I'm going to, I just say it in a blanket statement right now. If you weren't shown love and you came from a place of trauma and you came from a place of abuse, it is highly, highly, highly likely that you yourself will perpetuate the cycle of that abuse. Now, scientifically speaking, just cutting straight to the point of the heart of this video, we know that people that have been abused, the psyche or the higher self tries to recreate the scenario again so that they are able to regain control of the scenario. What I'm saying is abused people, 99.9%, become the abuser. So and that goes for like across the board, like for most forms of abuse. Like it's highly likely that that's the way that it goes. But also with society, with capitalism and consumerism, how we're all kind of taught to market ourselves and we're all competing with each other for attention because attention equals capital. It's kind of like we are pre-programmed to be narcissistical in general and, just be kind of live in this materialism world where we're not really ever open emotionally. We're kind of empty inside, and we don't really want to have deep, intense, loving, caring, stable relationships that have longevity. We kind of live in this realm now where everything's kind of transactional. And, we don't really want to define the nature of our relationships because we always are looking for a bigger, better deal somewhere else. So it's not really keeping us in a state of being, authentic with ourselves or with others, but also keeping us in a state of not being in gratitude of what we have right now. And, with narcissism, it really is, this entitlement that you have to the world, that you really are in a state of delusion about where you really are. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty scientific, this is narcissism. Like, you fucking know what narcissism is, okay? There's overt narcissists, which are just like out there, that have really grandiose versions of themselves that they think they are. And then they project that on everyone else. And all of the relationships that a narcissist can have can only be of service to the narcissist. I'll repeat that. Any narcissist, by definition, whether it's a covert narcissist or just an overt narcissist that's obvious as hell, they don't care about you. Okay? Get that and get it good. We are talking about a personality disorder. Disorder. Okay? It's not like it's going to wave a wand, click your finger, and it goes away. We're dealing with a person that can only have a connection to you if you are sucking their cock on some level, if you are giving them something, okay? Something that they can't give themselves. And at any moment, you will be expendable, and you will be abused, and you will be used, and you will be discarded. That's how narcissists work. The other day, what triggered me the other day, and I'll say triggered me because it just pissed me off, was I saw this, all this shit, all this newsfeed.com that, pops up on your phone all the time, and someone asserts their opinion in a way that is completely insane, makes no logical sense. And they were talking about how a narcissist can reform and how a narcissist can, turn over a new leaf. Not going to happen, okay? Let's get that straight. If that upsets you, don't care. It's the truth, right? We have to be really, really willing to look at ourselves and look at our narcissistic tendencies. And some of us aren't full-blown narcissists. We just have narcissistic tendencies. And that's, to a point, that's fair. Like, everyone has to try. We all want to put our best foot forward. But when you start to notice a pattern with somebody, and, let's put it this way, on a spiritual level, and it doesn't matter whether it's your mum or your dad or your brother or your friend or your teacher, when you're around them energetically, you can feel that something is strange. Something is off here. This person may have a tendency to make everything's logical, nothing's emotional. They don't emotionally interact with you. It seems forced. It seems fake, if you will, like they're wearing a mask of some kind. And you can kind of feel that. And, when you sit in that energetically in your heart, you can see that their behavior and in their soul, they just have no capacity for love. And they don't have any capacity for emotional understanding. They're always looking at you or their surroundings from an angle of, where can I manipulate? Where can I take your secrets or your vulnerability that you may have shared with me and then somehow use it against you or somehow blackmail you? Emotional blackmail, by the way, is really common with parents. Just giving you the straight up version of that without going too far into it. But generally speaking, if you have narcissistic parents, and a lot of you do, you're in so much trouble. You are in so much trouble. It's not like a boss where you can just leave your job normally. I think society kind of conditions us to really, love our parents and see them as gods. And we want them to love us. We want them to receive us. But if they're a narcissist, it's not going to happen. Ever. Okay? It's just not. So you have to kind of come to a point. I know I'm jumping around a little bit here, but I'm trying to get these, what's in the top of my head out of me now, is that you have to get to a point where it's like you have to draw a line in the sand. And it's like, ask yourself the question, when it comes to a narcissist, how much of you are you prepared to sacrifice for this narcissist? How much abuse are you prepared to put up with this person? And the hardest part about it is, it's not like a hat that they can just take off. It's not like they can just I don't feel like it today. I'll just be like, no, we're talking about a personality type here. All right. So it's not like they're going to just wake up one day and change. It's not going to happen. I actually have a theory that I decided spiritually coming into the left-hand path. People don't change. They do not change. What you see is what you get. All too common reality is you're trying to fit a square into a circle. It's not going to happen. Okay, it's not a fit. It's not a match. And incompatibility in relationship dynamics is an all too common reality. That's why in any type of relationship, when I see someone and I'm trying to get them to see the errors of their ways or do some fucking shadow work, the mere fact that I even have to think about that means it's not going to work to me. That's unworkable. Yeah. But just reversing back to where I was before, if you have narcissistic parents, it tends to be they see you as an extension of them. All right. So, and this is very prevalent when it comes to certain cultures, particularly the Indian culture and Asian culture. So it's very much like you are expected to follow these rules and you're expected to conform and be the version that they want you to be, even if it's not you. And a lot of narcissistic parents live vicariously through their children. And when I was a swimmer for many years, there were a lot of parents that were total narcissists, but they got into swimming, or they got their kids into swimming or gymnastics or basketball or piano or whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't matter. And they, it's like what mother couldn't do is now for daughter to do, like these beauty pageants and shit. Like it's usually some great big fat bitch that is 400, 600 pounds and is so fat, overtly fat, she can barely walk. And she's living vicariously through the children. She's living through her child, and she dresses her child up and sexualizes her child like a little sex doll. And so they're like a little mini me. But what it is, it's just narcissism. It's just her trying to live through another being that she sees as an extension of herself. She doesn't see the child, or a narcissist in general. That's a great example there. But a narcissist in general doesn't like see things around them as separate from self. It sees it as an extension. So it doesn't see their child as a person that has their own life path and life potentials and their own motivations and their own passions. It's only expected that they will follow through and they get their hooks into their kids and psychologically head fuck their kids. So I would say if you have narcissistic parents and you're listening to this and you're nodding your head and going, that was my mum, that was my dad, just makes me almost want to cry. I just want to give you a hug because I see you and I understand what you are going through. All right. Now, I was lucky. I didn't have narcissistic parents. My childhood was not perfect. I mean, whose was? And I think we all have like a misconception about what our parents are supposed to actually do for us. But if I did what I wanted because I wanted to. So there wasn't like, the weight of the world wasn't put on my shoulders to get like that entry score and go to university and be, so they can have the privilege of my success and, say that they're responsible for it. I did my own thing. Like, that's how I am. Also on the subject, there is no amount of money in the world that could pull me back into a relationship dynamic with a narcissist. The moment you can't manipulate me. No amount of magic could work on me to manipulate. No amount of magic or money or anything is going to pull me back into some dysfunctional fucking relationship ever again. The moment that I see dysfunction in someone, bye, I'm out the door. Bye. And I will never, ever come back again. Once that door shuts for me, the Scorpio side of me, we are done. Yep. And I don't care. Why? Because I have a very, very strong sense of free will. The moment someone is like, when are you coming home? What time? Where were you? Where have you been? I don't have to answer to shit. Yeah, that's my thing. I'm a free spirit. And that's why I'm free enough to go off and, talk about these topics completely uninhibited because I don't care. This is how I am. This is how I talk. So that being said, when I see dysfunction or any type of the main personality disorders, I could do a separate video on psychopaths or sociopaths because they're everywhere. If I had a kid, I'd sit the kid down at a young age and tell them about these types of people because they are absolutely going to be coming face to face with them, whether it's in the family, whether it's in a workplace, whether it's in just anywhere. Psychopaths are everywhere, but narcissists are way more common. Narcissists won't go as far as a psychopath will, but they are pretty close to it because psychopaths have narcissistic tendencies. So yes. Any of the type of the major personality disorders that aren't being treated or aren't being diagnosed or aren't being worked with, to me, absolutely unworkable. And I won't put up with it because their behavior is the problem. Their behavior is the symptom. So if they're not at least willing to work on that, I mean, you're up shit. You're pushing shit up a hill. All right. So if you're in a relationship dynamic now with a narcissist, I mean, this is the thing where it comes to the left-hand path with that tough love thing. I don't give a fuck. I mean, if you've aligned yourself with a narcissist, I wouldn't even be looking at the narcissist because they're so damn common. I'd be looking at you and going, why are you still there? What is it about you that's doing what we call trauma bonding? Why the fuck are you trauma bonding? What's your trauma? What's my trauma? Oh, we've got trauma together. Yeah, can't be asked with that. Don't know what trauma bonding is? Please go look it up. It's very important that you understand it. But I don't want to go down that road too much because I just want to focus on this. So a lot of narcissists, let's get back to the definition from my perspective. A lot of them resort to always trivializing your emotions. So they're always basically gaslighting you. So it's, it's always... First of all, they're incapable of taking ownership for their own behavior. So it's always, your fault. It's never their fault. It's like they'll trip you, they'll punch you in the stomach, they'll sabotage you, and then they'll be like, hey, you should get off the ground. Why are you laying on the ground? It's basically like punching someone in the face and then saying, hey, your nose is bleeding. You should really do something about that. Like, that's how a narcissist would think. And they're hypersexual as well. So because it's always about the adulation, it's always about the attention with a narcissist. And so they see that as a substitute for the power dynamic. So they're always, it's always resorting to genitalia. It's always resorting to some kind of domination. Rarely, I don't come across a lot of sub-narcissists, although there are, obviously a sub, someone who's more subservient in the bedroom. Narcissists tend to be more aggressive and more like top, or more like they want to be on top. They want to be the dominator. So their sense of power comes from debasing you. Someone with very low self-esteem will always be the sub. So it's like their sense of power comes from being debased, if that makes sense. So a lot of them are masochists or sadomasochists. A lot of them enjoy inflicting pain and causing trauma. That way they can fuck you up. Because trauma in itself is like a disease. It just kind of mutates to preserve itself. And anyone that isn't healed of trauma is going to be hurting other people in the process of their healing if the healing isn't done properly. So they live in this kind of illusion state where they really, they're all about themselves. They're all about how much money I make, how important I am, what do I get out of it. You just happen to be the thing in the way. Like if for a narcissist, you're just kind of like the trophy, if you're even good enough. But this is one thing I've noticed, particularly in gay relationship dynamics, not so much heterosexual relationship dynamics, they never want to define the relationship. They never want to commit. They don't want to commit. They just want to keep it in this kind of suspended state where they can fuck you around. They can have sex with you and then ghost you for 2 weeks because they don't want to build a relationship with you where they take in your emotions and how they impact you. A narcissist doesn't care about how they make you feel. It's only about how they feel. They don't care about your feelings. So you're but that's the thing. They'll manipulate you to let you think that they care and tell you, feed you these fucking lines and butter you up so that they can always keep you where they need you. And that's generally how it tends to be, which is a real struggle because you're kind of left in this state where you don't know, they wheel you back in, they push you away and they wheel you back in. At some point, as a fish yourself, the person being pulled into this dynamic, you have to recognize it is dysfunctional and fuck them off, all right? Because what you're doing, you're giving them the power. And relationship dynamics, especially from the left-hand perspective, is always about power dynamic. All relationships are power dynamic. Why? Because people are hierarchical and we bring in different power balances into relationships. Now, this is hard to hear, but generally in heterosexual dynamics, generally women, unfortunately, are seen as desirable objects and men are seen as providers. I don't agree with it, but that's generally how it tends to go. So it is always about power. And yes, so they don't have any concern about how you feel. And you'll always be left struggling and wondering what's going on. And kind of what they do, they keep you off balance. A narcissist will always keep you in this kind of suspended, aloof state where you just don't know where you question yourself, you doubt yourself because they're always telling you that you're not enough, or they question your work, or anything that you do, they don't approve it. Why? Because if you get too strong, the power dynamic can shift. If you get too successful, the power dynamic can shift. They don't like that. So they like to keep you where they can always hold themselves over you. Now, back to the parent dynamic with the narcissist. I hope I'm not talking too quickly. If you need to pause this video, just, pause it. I get it. I'm covering a lot of ground here. But I'm and I do apologize if this video is jumpy. Okay, parent relationship dynamic as a narcissist is that what they tend to do is, obviously a parent, we're programmed to see them as gods. We're programmed to see them as this higher being that we're not allowed to question. We're not allowed to, see their flaws. We're not allowed to, call them out on their behavior when they are inherently flawed, just like we are. By the way, just like I am, I'm subject to human law too. We all are. So what they do is you'll be the kid, you'll be in a dynamic where they saw you as like a teenager maybe, and then you just can't, in their eyes, they'll always see you as that. You're not allowed to grow up. You're not allowed to have autonomy, because that way that would break the dynamic of the link in the chain that the hold they have over you. So they don't see you as growing, basically. So they keep you in this kind of stunted perception of how they want, and friends can do this too. Like, so you're growing and you're changing and you're rebirthing yourself, which we're supposed to be doing in this life, like the Phoenix dynamic. They don't want that, and that because they're not doing it in their own life. So they keep you at this state. Well, the angle that they see you at is always back where you were, but it's not where you are now. It's another form of control. So I hope that made sense. And, it really, what it comes down to in later life is that if you haven't healed the trauma, you kind of tend to reenact that trauma bonding back out again. And, the abused cycle just kind of spins around, and that's kind of where it's at. And I think, can narcissism be cured? If someone has, I don't know, like if someone has like narcissistic tendencies lightly, then maybe they can see, see the error of their ways and see where they're willing to change. But to be honest, I really feel that I don't really see, like you've got to, like, okay, let's put it this way. You've just got to be realistic about the limitations of a narcissist. So you have to be like, look, they're never going to come to you and say, hey, I'm really sorry. I hurt you, and I promise I'll never do it again. Like, that is not realistic. Okay. There's not going to be like a turning point where they can turn around, and that, because we're dealing with a psyche here. Okay. We're dealing with who they are, because that's who they are. And I think when I think of the word narcissism, if there's another word that would go with narcissism, to me, it would be devaluation. Devaluation. That's exactly what it is. It is, look, in today's society, particularly in the dating world, we're all in a state of like devaluing each other. That's how we are. We're in a state of, sexual marketplace value is quickly doing a quick assessment of this person and seeing, is this person better than me? Are they less than me? Am I more better than them? Are they better than me? Like, it's this mind game shit that goes on. And that's kind of where it tends to go. Like, that's the truth. Like, that's where it's at. Look, a narcissist wouldn't go to... okay, in the top 1% of scenarios where I'd ever see a narcissist trying to reconcile something would be, they'd probably have to have a lot of people leave their life at one time, and they'd probably see a mass exodus of all their friends, all their business partners, all their partners around them leave. And the angle that they would see that would be, how could you leave me? I'm so wonderful. I'm so fucking fabulous. Why have you left me? And then they might end up in a psychiatrist's office because they can't understand why the people have left. They're not capable of owning their own behavior and going, because I'm an asshole. That's why when it comes to the left-hand path, I don't really practice magic, and I don't really use the influence of the craft on a narcissist or anyone that has narcissistic tendencies so much. Sure, I want them to suffer, but in the end, the cycles that they set in their own life will become their own undoing. They're never going to taste love. They're never going to taste real love. They'll have the aesthetic of love where they project it outwards on their Instagram or on their social media that they're fabulous and living a wonderful life, but underneath it, it's just bullshit. It's the same old tactics, and that's just how they are. They're super superficial. Okay, so that tends to be the way that they go. If I could give a really good analogy, like even the other day, like I've got a friend, and I just, at this point, also as well, sometimes you can't get away from them. You can't. You have to like put up with their bullshit. But if you're aware of it, you can also tune out of them as well. I heard a really good one on the topic of this, which was when you give them the same energy that they give you and then they get mad. I thought that was like a really, really good one, actually, because when you say, for example, you just give them what they give you, they think what they're giving you is like so wonderful, when really it's like, it's nothing. With society, the way that it is now, with like social media and all, like everyone kind of pretending to live this, fabulous life, it really, if I could give it an analogy, let's just put it this way. And I see this in the tarot world, in the spiritual world, or just any type of, any type of like culture or any type of paradigm would be that it would be, to me the other day, I thought it would be like going to your friend's house and they are making you a sandwich and you're sitting at the table and you're hungry and they're making you this sandwich and they're over there making it. You can't see what they're making. It's behind the counter, behind the kitchen bench or something. And basically they're making a sandwich out of a really beautiful, like fresh bun. Like the bun is beautiful. It's like, multigrain or sesame seed or whatever. And the sandwich itself is actually like the contents in the sandwich is just like rotting cheese, like moldy cheese, rotting ham. It's nasty, fucking nasty. Tomato is like full of like insects, like fly larvae or something. And then they wrap it up and it looks really nice. And then they bring it over to you and they put it on the plate and in front of you, and you're hungry and you're just like, oh, well, I need food. So you eat it. And you think they would never do that to you. You think that they would never, give you something like of that poor quality. And it's not until afterwards when, you get home or a few hours after, you start to feel absolutely sick. And now you've got fucking larvae in your stomach infecting you. But it was all sealed in a pretty bun and it looked really, did it fulfill you? Yeah, technically it did. But what I'm doing here is giving you analogy. The sandwich that you're eating is toxic. It's hollow. It has no content. It might look aesthetically pretty, but on the inside, it's poisonous. And that tends to be the culture of consumerism. And that is what encourages people to be hyper, like online, but hyper boosting their avatar, or when I say avatar, it's like the character in the ether of the internet that they're trying to project out to the world. But it's not who they are, because inside they're rotten. They're spiritually filthy. They don't have spiritual hygiene. The only concern that they have is the aesthetic and how it's immediately consumed by other people in its own projection. But underneath it, there's no authenticity and there's no truth. And that's kind of how I see when I look on Instagram or when I look on social media, it has gone into such a narcissistic tone now. And even in the tarot world, not that I give a fuck about that, I'm not really a part of it, but to a sense, it always seems to be, oh my God, this new deck's coming in. Oh, I'm so excited for it. It's coming. Oh my God, I've got to get it. Oh my God. It's like this hyper excited, like shit. And it's all this, and it's about like, okay, first of all, tarot in itself, just on a side note, tangent here. Sorry guys, I just want to go into this. Tarot is a tool that is used to communicate with the spirit world. So you have to, even the mere concept of playing around with this, it's not a toy. It's not something for you to get, it's not you're more focused on the consumption of the product and the aesthetic of it and getting hyped up to get people hyped up about something which gives you capital than it is about really understanding and coming at this from a place of respect. And now that I've moved into the left-hand path, I see this truly now. You have to be really respectful when you, like a tarot card or just by default is a window, if you will, to spirit world. So if you're coming at it from a point of view of consumerism and entertainment, you're going to attract a very low vibrational frequency to that. Okay, you are. And I will say, when you fuck around with spirit fucks around with you. So coming in with some kind of entitlement through narcissism is not good. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it there. Enough said. When it comes, just off the subject that I'll say one more thing. When it comes to working with spirit, you say please before you say thank you. Okay, you say please before you say thank you. You are not entitled to anything. Okay, you're not. The spirit world doesn't have to work with you. It doesn't have to connect with you. So coming at it from an entertainment point of view is not the right approach. And it never will be. Coming at it from a form of shadow work and being prepared to really, communicate in a respectful manner is the way it should always be approached. But with narcissists in general, no matter what the field is, whether it is the occult or whatever, they tend to live in this, perpetual state that's all based on an audience. It's always based on their own reflection. I mean, the concept of a narcissist is the word narcissist. He drowned in his own reflection. It's the Greek fable. It's a really good one, actually. Now, with a narcissist, they tend to, no matter how much you give, it's never enough. They don't love you. They only love the way that you love them. All right, that's how they work. You could give and give and give, and they'll just sit back and take and take and take and take until there's nothing left of you. And then they'll just move on to someone else. Even if the relationship dynamic doesn't look like it's going to go in their favor, more than likely they'll probably make up some bullshit, or they'll try and find a way to end the relationship so that they can just go back to another relationship where they don't have to deal with you again. And the cycle just kind of resets all over again. So that's why I said at the start of this video, if you're heading into a relationship dynamic with a narcissist, it's probably because you have a healing that needs to take place in you, and you've gone for a partner like your parent. You've gone for someone that has hurt you and you don't know why. Say a really common one in science now with pseudoscience and psychology is we know that a girl or a young girl that grew up without a father will go towards older male dynamic relationships. And we know that because she's trying to recreate the dynamic that she didn't have. So it's only through recognizing the pattern can we actually start to break it and start to see it. Because that's why it's like putting yourself around a snake that's already bitten you or a dog that could bite your hand. I mean, what the fuck did you expect? Of course it's going to bite you again. That's a choice now. That's a choice. All right? So please understand. Look at yourself truthfully. Coming out of the video that I did the other day with shadow work, are you more concerned about the aesthetic of something, or are you more concerned about the understanding of something? Like you're playing fucking dress-ups. Like a lot of people are playing dress-ups. Most people, I would say, in some capacity, they'll take on the archetype of what it looks like in the aesthetic, but it's not actually who they are. It's like people dressing up in leather or something, like leather jackets and bikie jackets. It's the aesthetic of it, but does that make them more masculine because they're dressed up in a bikie jacket? No. Also with narcissism, they tend to be always like smarter than what, like they want you to think that they're smarter than what they are, or they'll come across with this like warrior goddess thing where it's like they're super tough and they're the toughest bitch in the land, because they're living in a state of that delusion. But also as well, power is power. You know, it doesn't need to tell you how powerful it is, because it just is what it is. You know, it doesn't need to prove anything. Like, that's what I always say. A good saying the other day that I heard was, the empty container is the one that is the loudest, because it's like an echo chamber of its own self, trying to perpetuate its own self. So a lot of people are living in this kind of, right now, they're living in a world that, in a reality, it's like a third dimension, but it's not really real. It's like they're living in a different planet. And it's kind of like, it's like they don't really know. It's like a bubble. Like, it's all that they've known. So that's, if you're born into a bubble and you've just seen that this mode of behavior of being narcissistic is, you know, the only way to go, then you're not really going to have a way of kind of getting out of that as well, because you've kind of, well, we've either forgotten what was real, or you've just kind of gotten caught up in the narcissistic abuse, and now you're becoming the problem. The other day I was talking to someone on the phone, and, you know, this probably happened to you too, probably happened today. And you really, you know, you've got the time and you've got the energy, and you want to have a good conversation with them, and you want to talk about, you want to show your heart. You want to talk about something that's very sensitive and, something that really means something to you, and you're taking the time to have a heart-to-heart about your connection with them, or, you know, some revelations that you may have had in your own life. And, you know, when you're on the phone to this person, they're in the car and they're busy, and you can hear all the static noise in the background and the windows down, and you're talking, and you can sense that they're not really there. They're not really present with you. They don't care. You know, you can feel that in their way that they're engaging with you. They're not putting down what they're doing and going, oh, I'm listening right now. Let me give me 1 sec. I'll just take you off, and I just want to give you the time. They're not going to do that. Okay. So they're going, yep. And here you are talking really deeply to this person, and they're just getting out of their car. They're getting through the car park. They're going into the shops. They're going shopping to pick up a few things, and they're not present. This is fucking narcissistic as hell. They're putting their own projection override you and your connection to them. And that's, whether you would call that covert narcissism or not, is that they're not making the time and energy and effort for you that you're giving them. And they don't want to have a real deep connection with you. They're in a state of avoidance. That's the word, avoidance. Narcissists are always in a state of not always what I call off the hook thinking, off the hook behavior. They don't want to talk to you on a deep level. They don't want to go there. Okay, they're not, it's like, I can't stress that enough. And because of that, you can't really build deep connection with them, because they don't divulge anything of their own self back to you. So you could have relationships and friendships with people, and they'll always ask, you know, like, it's more focused about something external from themselves than it is about them talking about their childhood or talking about their family. Like, you may not even know they've got brothers and sisters. You might not know anything about them at all. And they never bring it up. So here you are bringing up all of this personal stuff, and this other person just won't let you in. No, won't go there. No, won't let you. And it's just, it's exhausting. And then you look at yourself and you're like, I can't do this. I can't keep that up for 10 hours straight with someone. For me, I look at it like, bye, see ya. Like I said, I just can't do it anymore. But that's how it is. And it's fucked. It really is. It makes me sad. And then you know that they're not really there for you. And they kind of just want the call to end soon so that they can go shopping. Also as well, another one with normalized narcissism, which is very common with gay men. And I've come to this conclusion from my experience dealing with them as clients or in life in general, is that they don't have any understanding about perpetuated love in a lot of ways, because they don't have the experience. A lot of them don't have the experience of having a child. And because of that, they don't have any type of visceral comparison. So to show so it's like their love towards their children in a way that they were loved. So they don't have a point of reference to understand love. And that's one thing that I'll say, although most are narcissistic in general, because the culture is extremely narcissistic, but it really is like a lot of orphans, really. A lot of them don't have love. They never wish, think about it, in their defense, I'm being honest, if they were never shown love to begin with, and they came from a place that was rejecting of them, then how the fuck are they going to have stable, healthy, caring relationships that last? They can't, because they're in a state of narcissism. They're in a state of perpetual consumerism. How are we going to consume the sex? And then moving on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And so their whole life tends to be a series of all of these, hit it and quit it experiences where they just feel empty and sad because they're not getting their needs met. Like the deep connection of what a human needs is integration, love. They're not getting that. It's just based on the aesthetic of these very kind of bestial primal urges, and then it's all over, and then you feel worse than you did before. It's kind of how the heterosexual dating world works as well. So in their defense, if you weren't shown love, how the hell can you give love? That's one thing that I come across a lot. So it's always cycles, and that's kind of, it tends to be the way it is. So, abuse attracts abuse. And that's how it is. So only through the development of heart connections can we navigate and negate this mode of operation and break these psychological patterns so that we're big enough. And see, I'm an adult. I'm looking to have an adult relationship with someone. I'm looking to have a relationship with someone that has a communication style that is on an adult level. So when I see any type of childish behavior, any type of playing it down, being comical, being funny, always in some mode of deflection, bye, see ya, you can fuck off now, not interested, don't have time for it, can't be fucked with it. And I'm sick to death of trying to help people that just don't want to be helped. They don't want to see the error, they don't want to see their dysfunction. Like I said at the start, if you're dysfunctional and you're not prepared to own it, you're absolutely worthless to me. I don't give a shit. Go and live your empty life. Your life means fuck all anyway, because you're not going to acquire anything of depth. You're not going to acquire anything of real substance and value, like man to man, woman to woman, whatever the dynamic is, heart. You're not living in your heart. That's why a lot of narcissists in general tend to over logical thinking over emotional thinking. And it's just fucked up. And so that's just how it is, because think about it. If you're in your 20s or 30s now and you still haven't been able to, cultivate relationship dynamics that are healthy, I mean, let's get real. When you're 35, 40, you're already halfway through life. So you might have this kind of delusion about how much time you have, but we really don't have a lot of time. And that's why I'm just coming out now and just saying these videos, because someone somewhere out there, hear me, please. If this video makes sense to you, if I've said anything that, makes your heart go boom, 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 message me, leave a message in the comments below. Let's get a conversation going about this. We don't have time to play make-believe, okay? Because we just don't have the time. Life is short. It's too short. And I just don't have, it's just the amount of work and energy that goes into putting up with someone else and their dysfunction. It's just, it's crazy. So yeah. And a lot of this comes from social conditioning, by the way. Narcissism has become a part of social conditioning. So we can use our victimhood or our, to try and get people to feel sorry for us. Oh, my poor son. Rather than be like, okay, I'm not a victim. I'm getting out of victim mindset and I'm taking ownership for my part in that vibrational match. And then I'm never, ever going to do it again. That's why I've got friends. I've got a friend And, there's always a new man. There's always someone new in their life. Every time I talk to them, there's it just goes on and on. There's never anything stable, ever. And it's the same damn dynamic repeated again on a loop. It just goes around again. And they're still married. Fuck, they're still married. And they want someone else. And then she wants, it's exhausting. Yeah, can't be fucked with it. Oh my God. So yeah, a lot of, it's tricky with narcissism as well, because a lot of the therapy for it just doesn't work. And also I've got a theory when it comes to like getting like psychiatric help, counseling, or any type of like psychologist, psychiatry, there's also a lot of narcissism in them as well. And I thought about it the other day, and this is really interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Actually, I'm opening up the floor now. Please let me know what you think. If we live in a time-space reality that's based on vibration and law of attraction, then you listening to this video means that you're already on the same level as we're vibrating somewhat on a frequency of, you needed to hear what I'm saying, or you need to, whatever. Is that if they are a psychiatrist, and everything we do is connected to the vibration of that other person's psyche and their soul and their heart, could you imagine how fucked up a psychologist must be? And also the dynamic of that really doesn't work a lot of the time, because they're not privy to understanding how all this actually works. Like, a lot of them have got no idea about shadow work. And a lot of them, they're so outdated in the way that they practice psychology, but it's always based in $250, see you next week. So it's always perpetuating the cycle of healing by never actually letting it heal, because it's always in their best interest to keep you coming back to them. So it's like prescribing a pill that you can take, which just addresses the symptoms, but it doesn't treat the fucking cause. That's why it doesn't work a lot of the time, because you're neglecting to treat the cause. That's why it's happening again and again and again. So for anyone that you've been abandoned, okay, your mum wasn't there for you. She didn't understand you. You got raped. You got hurt. Yeah. Yep. It's real. Break the cycle. Recognize the cycle. Don't go out there and perpetuate it. Don't go out there and do it. Look at it. Look at yourself. What happened to you was just absolutely criminal. Criminal. And you'll never be the same again. By the way, we don't get over things. We just get better at dealing with things. You're better than this. You can break the cycle. And anyone who's not willing to go deep with them, how to deal with a narcissist, here's the strategy. You start moving away from them. You limit your time with them. I don't have time for them. When they call, I don't answer. When they text, I leave it on red for a couple of days or a week. I don't give a fuck. I push them away and I keep them where I need them. Same with family, particularly around Christmas time, super triggering. If you've got a narc mother or a narc father, if you have to be there, I mean, at some point, a lot of you guys medicate. I do too. And I just sit at the fucking dinner table and listen to this shit. I have to take a couple of pills just to kind of take the edge off. I might even go out and, a good one I used to do is like you pour like a bottle of beer into a teacup and pretend you're drinking tea. Like, I have done that just to be around friends. I have done that just to be around people, family members, just to put up with their nonsense. Because I just go, I'm going to come here, I'm going to go into this dynamic, and then I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to leave. Now, if you're at home with a parent that is a narcissist or a family member that's a narcissist and you're living in their space, you have to start making a plan to become autonomous. And you have to start really separating between, this is a strategy, what I used to do with my clients. What's mine? What's yours? What's mine? What's yours? Okay, get it? Separate and untangle what actually is theirs and their projection onto you to gaslight you or manipulate you to what is real in your own heart, and then start creating boundaries. You need to create boundaries with them, and you need to get an exit strategy in place as soon as possible. As soon as possible. Like I said, it's not like a hat. They're not going to take this off and then be like a different person tomorrow. This is who they are. And if it's not healthy for you, you start moving away. You start slipping away and going quietly into the night. Now, a lot of narcissists, one of the methods that they use is they put you in debt to them. Oh, look at all the things I did for you. Look at the fucking sacrifices I made for you. Like, how often have you heard your mum or dad say that? Look at all the money I've spent on you. They do that because they're trying to get their hooks into you to keep you where they need you. Okay? If your life is worth living, say it now out loud. Your life is worth living. It's worth fighting for. How far are you really going to go when you have got a weight tied around your foot, pulling you down to the bottom of the lake, pulling you down, putting you down every day? They don't see you. They're never going to see you. If you took anything out of what I'm saying today, get that in your brain, please. They don't have the capacity for that, and it's not going to change. It's just not. You move away. You move away and you learn. That's the key word, learning. I can tolerate a narcissist for a period of time until I get sick to death of them, and then I have thoughts like metaphysical and the dark path. Oh, I could pull you apart like a doll. I could smash my fist straight through your heart and rip it out. Like, that's the level of intensity that I have now and the power that I have in myself. I'm not talking physically, I'm talking psychologically. If you want to play psych games with me, open season, let's play. Okay, I can be sweet and I can be kind. I'm very nurturing and healing. But at the same time, if you want to play games with me, I will always win every single time. That's how I am now, the left-hand path. I'm patient, but I always come out on top. If my heart wants it, I will create a dynamic that will get that met. Like I said, my totem animal is the king cobra. It's a very powerful animal. It is what it is. It's a gentle animal in a lot of ways. It's not a super aggressive animal. It just wants its own space. It just wants to be left alone. Now, with the narcs, what they'll do as well is they're always asserting themselves into your life, always making opinions about what you should do and how you should do it and telling you what to do. When someone like telling me what to do, bye. Yep. That's where I'm at now. No more victim shit, okay? Stop. You've got to get out of this victim shit. Life's tough. Figure it the fuck out, okay? You didn't come here for the perfect experience. By seeking comfort all the time, you're actually making yourself weaker. Resistance builds strength. So start working on your strength. And then you can get the cycle of healing going, and you can see what is workable and what is not workable. And then you can work with what is workable. Trying to work with a narcissist is not workable. Okay, let's have a look for time. Where are we at? This has been a very heavy chat. My goodness, it's 56 minutes. Oh my God. I have covered a lot here, a lot of stuff here. And I hope that this has been of help to you and of power to you and knowledge to you. But this is my truth and it's how I see it. So there is no negotiating. There is no way off the hook other than you start to separate yourself from this person. You separate them from your life. And part of that power thing is we go through cycles of resets. We have to be willing to let something go, like a snake. Yet again, the cobra, when it gets bigger, when I grow bigger, I have to shed my old skin to make space to accommodate that expansion. So that, of course, I'm going to let people go. Of course, like this is the thing I said at the start of my year video for 2022. If you're not vibrating at a really high level and you're not letting me in and I don't know who you are, I can't be asked with that. Don't have time for it. Not interested. Super boring. Oh, yawn. Like even sitting around someone that's, always tired, always yawning, or like, fuck off. I want to feel alive. All right? Straight up. Shakti. Don't know what that means. Look it up. One of the cards that I pulled for this year was Kali. Yes, Carly energy. Carly's going to come in and blow that shit up. Carly energy is not concerned with like taking it down brick by brick. Carly is coming in to explode this situation, to unveil everything, and then it's the rebuilding of it that Carly's interested in. That's what we're doing here. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. This was a bit of a heavy dive into a narcissist. Get them away from you and start working on your exit strategy immediately, and start looking at the patterns in yourself of why you have been a vibrational match to this bullshit to begin with. And if you are narcissistic, stop it, okay? Start thinking about compassion. Start thinking about, really being present for other people and making the time and energy and effort that they give you, you give them back. That's why I don't put up with any fence sitters. If you're a fence sitter, bye, okay? I don't do fence sitting. A narcissist will always fence sit. If you made a commitment, if you made a pact, damn well keep it. If you said, do what you said you were going to do, that's how I know that I can trust you. That's how I trust myself. I have these goals and I'm going after them. I'm getting them done. I still hold compassion for other people. But if you keep going back to the same old damn cycle that you've always been on, it's not going to work out for me with you. I can't be asked with it. And I really strongly encourage you to see things for what they really are. All right. And I hope that you like the picture as well on the thumbnail of this video, because it was kind of symbolic of the wolf wearing, it was me actually in the picture. It was a friend who actually, we bought this mask and it was like a wolf mask, but it was really symbolic of like a wolf dressed in sheep's clothing. Narcissists, by the way, just quickly, they love to put themselves in situations where they're around people where it's always like the matriarch of the father of the family dynamic, or it's always about them, and one of the worst narcissists for the record is always going to be the fire signs, the Aries, the Leos, the Sages. They can be the worst narcissists ever. Anyway, must away, love and blessing to you. I think in the next video, we are going to look at love spells. And I'm going to do a bit of a, completely different topic. We're going to dive into my thoughts on it. And, it seems to be the thing everyone's trying to find. They're trying to find love. And it's complicated because love's complicated. All right, enough chat. See you in the next video. And please leave a comment below. What did you think about this video? I want to know. All right, lots of love. Bye. Bye.